story told me by my grandma Smith. This is back before not only television, but back before radio, in which if you didn't have somebody who was good at telling stories around the table, the kids drove you crazy. And I had a real good grandma. She died last year at 103. And as time goes by, you realize what a wonderful thing that is to be able to tell stories to people. And this is a story that my grandma Smith taught me. And she also taught me this. You can see why it's important. And then she got, come over here, Schuster, we'll do this. And then she got us kids to sit around the table and put our hands on the table, all in a circle. And this is under kerosene lamplight. You understand?
Careful, Schuster.
Okay, so it goes like this. It goes, William, William, Trimble Toes. He's a good fisherman, catches hens, puts them in the pens. Wire, Blire, Limberlock. 3 geese in a flock. One flew east, one flew west, one flew over the cuckoo's nest. O-U-T spells out, you dirty dish rag, you go out. And then he would turn that finger under, and the kids with the fingers left up won. Now, when you get that as a kid, 55 years ago at least, yeah, when I was 5, and you can't get it out of your mind, ever. You can't get it out with a brush. And so this is a story that, get out here a little closer for you guys. This is a story that she told me, and I was able to have her come to a performance of it when I read it. And it was a wonderful thing. And after the thing was over, she said, well, you gussied it up a lot, but it is the same story. So this is Grandma Smith's story, and there are 3 cues in it for you guys. The first cue is this. Try it. You give a gasp. Louder, louder. Good, good. The second cue is this. You clasp your hands over your head and you go, yay! The third cue is this. Got to put this gum somewhere. The third cue is this. You take hold of the skin on your cheek and go. Okay, that's good enough. So this is the story of Little Tricker the Squirrel meets Big Double the Bear. It was a fine fall morning, early and cold and sweet as cider. It was one of the prettiest times of the year and one of the prettiest times of the day, and all the bottom folk were content to let it come about quiet and slow and savory. The only one up and about was old Papa's son, and he was just barely up and about. The night shifts and the day shifts were shifting very slow. The bats hadn't put away their fiddles, and the spiders hadn't shook the dew out of their webs yet. It wasn't the bats, it's the birds hadn't quite woke up, and the bats hadn't all quite gone to sleep. It was the prettiest time of day, and Tricker was content to let it come about. He was looking over down into the clearing, waiting in sort of a half dream. Every now and then he would twinkle his eye out from his dream and his puffy pillow hair and check the hazelnuts on the tree way down below his cottonwood high-rise to see if they was ready for reaping. He had to admit they were pretty near perfect. He'd watched them all day the day before, turning softly browner and browner, and had promised himself One day more and those hazelnuts are going to be perfect. And he thought, if I promise myself one day more and the hazelnuts are going to be perfect, then tomorrow they're going to be past perfect. So he was telling himself, I'll get up as soon as that sunbeam that's crawling up the knobby trunk of the hazelwood tree touches the first hazelnut. I'll get up and I'll grab my tote sack and I'll go to gathering. And then after a couple of winks, just as quick as that sunbeam goes up that tree and catches the second hazelnut, I'll get my tote sack and I'll get to work. And so on, merrily dozing and dallying and savoring the sweet, still air. The hazelnuts got riper and riper. The finger creeped up the thing slower and slower. Well then, the finger of sun had just about reached the 26th hazelnut when a holy dad blame gosh almighty roar came kabooming through the bottom itself. Oh, what a roar. Oh, 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 not just high and low, but chilling and fiery all to once. Tricker was so scared that he sprung out of his bed and stuck, spraddle-eagled in midair, petrified, his eyes bugging out like biscuits and ivory hair sticking out straight from him like the quills on a puffed-up porcupine, saying, what in the name of 60 cyclones was that? And right then, it cut loose again. Roar! Shaking the cottonwood from root to crown till the critter could hardly stand. Tricker crawls across the floor, very cautious, and very, very cautious. He sticks his sore nose out over and to peek down in the clearing below, and very, very, very cautious, he cranes to see what was down there. Again I said, roar! It was a bear. A grizzly bear, so big and hairy and horrible, it looked like the two biggest, baddest bears in the Ozarks had been rolled up to make one. Again I said, hungry. I'm big double from the high wild ridges, and I'm down here now, 'cause I ate all that stuff up there then. I ate the high hills raw and the foothills bare, and now I'm gonna eat the whole bottom, and everybody in it all up. And with that, he raises his arms high above his head, stringing until his toenails strain out like too many shaped hay hooks, and then he rams down into the ground, and with an evil snarl, tears the very earth wide open. In the sundered earth, there was Charlie Charles the woodchuck. His bedroom busted around him, his bedstead busted beneath him, and his bedspread pulled up to his quivering chin. Hey, you high hills hollerer, what are you doing down here, breaking into my home and hole? This isn't your stomping grounds. Well, son, I hate to tell you this, but I'm Big Double the Bear, and when I'm hungry, it's all my stomping ground, and I'm hungry. I eat the high hills raw, and I eat the ridges rare, and now I'm going to eat you up. And chomps his chappers in a challenging stomp. Charles the woodchuck tries to look back at him and hold his eyes for a tick or two, and then out from his bedspread jumps Charlie, and across the bottom he runs, his ears laid low, his tail hoisted high, fast. But the big old bear with his big old legs barely takes 1, 2, 3 double big steps, takes Charlie over, pops him in his mouth, swallows him down, hair, hide, and wholesale. High up in his tree, Tricker blinks his eye in amazement. Yep, he has to allow that bugger can really run. The bear then walks down to a granite boulder beside the creek where Longrellas the rabbit live. He listens a moment with an ear to the stone, and then he raises one of those double big legs high above his knees, higher and higher, and then drives it down like a pile driver onto the big boulder and turned Longweller's granite fortress into a sand pile all over the table. Hey, you, said Longweller's, trying to dig the sand out of one of his long ears with a wild parsnip. Oh, what are you doing coming down here, stomping into our home and our hole? This is our private place, it's my private rock. This isn't your stomping ground. He says, son, I'm Big Double the Bear. I ate the ridges raw. I ate the backwoods balls. And I'm now down here in your bottom. And I'm going to eat you all up. I ate the woodchuck that run. And I'm going to eat the rabbit with the sand in his hair. And he champs his big choppers in a challenging chomp. Longweller's the rabbit, tries to meet his blistering stare for a couple of ticks more, and then out goes the rabbit, across the taps and run like this. Up the trees he goes, yelling, I can jump! And the bear shouting back says, I can jump too. Then what did the woodchuck do? Said the woodchuck ran. So did you catch him? No. Says, I can jump better than the woodchuck can run. And she makes a jump high in the air. Her long yellers held back, heading for the brambles, but the big old bear with his big old legs merely takes 1, 2, 3 steps and takes the rabbit over, snags her up, and swallows her down. Ears, elbows, and everything. In his high cottonwood high-rise, Tricker, looking out the hole, says, yeah, sure as his word, he can also jump. Bear then goes back down the hill to where Whittier Creek is dribbling drowsy by. He sniffs a while at the edge of the creek, and then he grabs it and snaps it like a bedspread. This snaps Sally Snip's sister, the martin, clear out of her mud wall of boudoir and turns her over and over and over in the clouds and drops her thump hard to the back in the creek bed where stunned mud puppies and minnows are wiggling. Hey, you backwoods bully, she hisses at the big bear. You ridge-running rowdy, what are you doing down out of your ridges, ruining our play puddles? You don't belong here. This is my play puddle. Ma'am, I hate to tell you this early in the morning, but I'm Big Double the Bear. I ate the ridges raw. I ate the backwoods balls. I ate the woodchuck that ran, and I ate the rabbit that jumped. And now I'm going to eat you up. I run, says the woodchuck. I can run too, says the bear. I'll jump, says the woodchuck. I can jump too, says the bear, wiggling his whiskers wickedly back. I'll climb, says the woodchuck. Says the martin. Sally Snip's sister. I'll climb, says the martin. I can climb too, says the bear, and champs his choppers in a challenging chomp. Sally clicks back at him with her own little teeth for a tick or two. And then out she shoots like the bullet out of a pistol. Across the rabbit she goes like this. The bear is right on her tail like a burning volcano. She's moving across the ground and she grabs the trunk of the cottonwood tree and she climbs, zooming up that cottonwood tree like a yo-yo that's been charged with electricity. But the bear catches the tree and climbs after her like a jet-propelled elevator on a greasy groove. And he takes her over, and he snags her up, and he swallows her down. Teeth, toenails, and teetotal. And then, it just so happens that big bear, while he's hugging the trunk of the tree, finds that he is eyeball right at the little hole that is none other than the door of the bedroom of Tricker the Squirrel. Yes, sirree, Bob, Tricker says. You also sure shouldn't get run. Says you got double portion when it comes to running and jumping and climbing. You may have a little short change, perhaps, in the thinking department, but I have to tell you, I'm impressed. And who are you? Roars the bear into the hole. Well, I'm Tricker the Squirrel, and I saw it all, like I say. And I can't help but tell you that you're the most impressive thing that's come through here in a long time. You can brag on your double proportions when it comes to that stuff, and you're fine with me. And eat, says the bear. I can also eat. I ate the high hills raw as a rock. I ate the foothills bare as a bone. I know, says Tricker. I heard it all, too. What say that we cut to the part where I run and you run after me? I'll run, says Tricker. I can run too, says the bear, hugging the tree. I'll jump, says Tricker. I can jump too, says the bear. I'll drink some buttermilk, says Tricker. I'll drink some buttermilk too, says the bear. Then I'll climb, says Tricker. I'll climb too, says the bear. And then, says Tricker, winking and pulling at one of his longest, whitest whiskers, dainty as a riverboat gambler with a sleeve full of secrets, says, and then I'll fly. This bamboozles the bear. He walks around, rubs his big brow, but even short-changed grizzly bears named Big Double knows red squirrels can't fly, even red squirrels named Tricker. So he plucks at one of his own biggest, nastiest, whitest whisker, winks his wink and makes his grin, says, when you fly, I'll fly too. And Tricker says, we'll see about that. Reaches over to grab the bear's whisker and jerks it clean out. Oh, roars the bear, right at Tricker, down the tree, misses the ass. Down the tree, goes down, cutting across the metal bottom as fast as he comes. And when he gets to the edge of the tree that don't go over the brambles, he heads off to a big film marketing place where Farmer Topple cools his dairy products and jumps right in. And when he gets in, the bear jumps right in after him. Tricker then hops up to the brim of a gallon crock and begins to lap up that cool, thick milk like he hadn't had a drop for weeks. Bear knocks Tricker away, picks up the whole crock, throws it down like he was a 7-year drought. Tricker hops up on the brim of the next crock, 5-galloner. Begins to lap it up, the bear knocks him aside again, picks it up, slugs it down. Tricker doesn't even bother getting up on the third crock. He steps back a 10-galloner and lets the bear hoist it high and gradually guzzle it empty. He stomps it down like that. He wipes his mouth. I'm Big Double, and I'm from the Tricker says, yeah, I know. Why do you say we skip the roaring and go right on to the last part? After I run and jump and drink buttermilk and climb, then I'm going to fly. And the bear said, I'm going to fly too. And he makes a nab again, but Tricker's out ahead of him. And down goes Tricker back for the cottonwood high rise with the bear coming right at him like a full-blown tornado. Up Tricker goes like a house of fire. Right after him comes the bear like a full-blown volcano. And they pass his house as they get higher and higher and climbing and feeling the bear's hot breath, climbing hotter, higher, closer, until there's barely any tree left. And Tricker springs out into the air, light as a little red leaf on the wind. And before he thinks better of it, the big bear springs out into the air himself like a 10-ton milk tanker over a cliff. Tricker grabs the swinging top of that first sun-touched hazelnut tree and shouts up, I forgot to tell you, I can also trick. Ah! His pursuer answers, plummeting down, ah! Till he splatters on the hillside like a thumping ripe melon. When the dust and debris clear back, there's Sally Snipsister wriggles up from the wrecked remains and says, I'm out. And then Charlie Charles the Wood, not Charlie Charles, Long Rail the rabbit jumps up and says, I'm out. And then Charlie Charles the woodchuck says, I'm out. And Tricker, swinging high in the tree, shouts down to them, I was never in to get out. And everybody laughed. and the birds woke up and began to sing. And the day got more and more pretty, and the hazelnuts got more and more perfect, and the buttermilk just rolled down the hill. Thank you. Oh, Steve Schuster, good old friend. Are you guys getting the idea of what I mean about Jambay? Jambay is flexible. They're a new wave of band, and all they need is an audience. Attach yourself to them. Sink your long yellow fangs in a Jambay and let them drag you to your doom. This fine young lady has, that's a great Gibson guitar.